He fell off the ladder, did a backflip, and landed on his, well, quite luckily on his back, but on a soft piece of land, ground. Yeah. I didn't know whether to go and help him or give him marks out of 10 for artistic merit, you know.
No, no, just walk by. I'm sure it's not the first time you've seen that. Um, some podcasts ago, we were on about immigration
Mm.
and the joys of being an immigrant. You know, we came to Brazil.
Yeah.
Um, Many immigrants are heading to the UK, heading to the US,
Mm.
both legal and illegal.
Yeah.
Some are chancing their arm. Some have organised themselves before they actually travelled,
Mm.
and you know those that some have organised jobs for when they get there.
Okay.
I'm a bit of an adventurer, so when I go to
Mm.
play, I normally go ad hoc. I
Yeah.
just go,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
And however, this going on impulse,
Mm.
a bit of a two-edged sword because it could work out well or it might
Mm.
get a little sticky.
Yes.
If you're not prepared to be flexible,
Yeah.
then you know it can actually hurt you.
Mm.
Um, I'd like to read something that was posted on Facebook, uh, a cautionary tale
Yeah.
for anybody who's thinking about moving to Europe.
Right.
Uh,
Okay.
I'm going to read this verbatim because that way it's not me that's saying this. It's
Yeah.
it's a guy called Kenneth Eby.
Mm.
He's a Nigerian, and he showed a photo, which we'll put on the screen,
Yeah.
of uh, he said this is a typical example of a mini room in Dublin that you'll be begging the owner to accept €250.
Mm.
That's 407,000 naira, which is the
Yeah.
currency of Nigeria, from you per month as rent. And then he says, now by begging you, not too sure. I think that might be Nigerian.
Mm.
That last little bit, but um, I was investigated how much the average rent is in Nigeria,
Mm.
and for twice as much, around about €500 a month is the
Mm.
average rent for a three-bedroom flat.
Mm.
And this guy is paying €250 for, in all intents and purposes, is a space.
Yeah.
Well, it isn't a space. It's around about 2 meters by a meter and a half,
Mm.
Dublin. But anyway, let's carry on. He says, you see why you have to give respect when you hear that someone bought a house in Europe, especially in Ireland.
Mm.
I seen to own your own house.
Yeah.
Uh, I, I think it might be in his wildest dreams to own a house. This is exactly why before you leave the shores of Nigeria, be mindful of what you are venturing into. Free accommodation does not exist here. Nobody will accommodate you for free.
Mm.
You will even collect rent and bills from your own blood brother or sister if you accommodate them here.
Mm.
Right. So he's saying that when you go, you're on your own.
Mm.
In the majority of cases, you are on your own.
Yeah.
Got to find your rent, and of course, you've got your lecky and your bills and
Yeah.
everything else on top of that. I go on. Lastly, you must be a hustler to exist in Europe, especially in Ireland. This is not a place to come and be answering Nwunye Odogwu or Oriaku. I'm sure that's Nigerian.
Yeah, slightly, yes.
Or where one partner will fold their arms doing nothing while the other partner will be killing themselves with extra shifts and overtime work just to make earns meet for rent and bills.
Mm,
I think that's to make ends meet for rent and bills.
yeah,
Well, welcome to a European lifestyle, because there are many
mm,
natives of Europe that are having to do exactly that.
yeah,
We hear in America that people have got 3 or 4 jobs to hold down the bloke, the guy of the house is on
mm,
3 or 4 jobs just to make ends meet,
yeah,
you know. But anyway, now you have seen why many American my when my
mm,
now you have seen why many African women, when they marry abroad, husband, and later arrive here in Ireland, they
mm,
will be disappointed because the lifestyle their man is leading here, I think it is,
leave it, yeah,
does not match what he showed them in Africa, and before you know it, divorce.
yep,
So it's a little bit like we here in Brazil, where
mm,
because we are foreign, people think we're rich
yeah,
automatically,
yeah,
right? Because we're from England, people think automatically we're rich.
yeah,
And it's the same thing, the African women thinking, putting themselves out for the foreign
mm,
guy, thinking if I marry this, I'm set.
yeah,
And then he takes them across to Europe, and they're living in a worse state than what they were in Africa.
yeah, yeah,
That's if he doesn't make a work on the street.
yeah, I
So
was going, yeah, got that, yes,
he says teamwork is how people survive abroad.
mm,
Don't kill that man or that woman with stress by staying idle. Find
mm,
some find something to do. Joint income wins the race.
mm,
Well, I'm sure that by the image you'll realise that there isn't enough space for 2 people in that what is renting for 250
yeah,
euros a month. And I think it says an awful lot about the landlord, charging 250 euros for a space that literally you can't swing a cat in.
I,
Literally. I
I've,
don't even
I,
think you can open your arms.
well, I've seen the pictures. I can't even see how it's legal, but there we go. I'm not. I'm
There
legal.
are there
Yeah.
are people around. So
Yeah.
let that be a cautionary tale for people who are coming from these poorer nations, the third world, if you like,
Mm,
wanting to find thinking that it's all that London really is paved with gold, which it
mm,
isn't.
yeah. We dug it up in 2008 to pay for the crash. Yeah.
The,
Mm,
there are people living in more misery than many people in Africa. I looked at the average wage in Africa,
mm,
and it's compatible to here.
yeah.
Now here, they say that the average salary is 8,000 reais a month, but that is a bit of a red herring
Yeah.
because there are many people who earn a minimum salary of 1,200
Yeah.
and 300 reais a month,
Yeah.
and a few that are on 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 reais a month.
Yeah.
On average, on
Okay.
average,
Yeah.
everybody's wealthy, but it's just not true.
No, I mean that's it. Averages always are a very misleading thing. I mean, we talk about statistics about anything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you and I would be very happy with 8,000 a month. I dare say if we could get it in Brazil. You might have, I don't know, but
I will not take a cut of my income. I will not.
oh, okay. Are you looking for a personal assistant, Steve? Um, yeah,
I
yeah,
suppose so.
it is a yeah. I'll fetch a beer for you for 8,000 a month. Um, yeah, it is a yeah. This is it. I mean, even when times are good, I mean, yeah. obviously I met my wife in the UK. She was under no illusions about the UK, really. She met me. I was scraping. I was in engineering, so I wasn't exactly going to have a. I didn't have a big salary there. Um, yeah, we had a house we sold to move to Brazil. Okay, things have happened since, but yeah, it is. And I spoke to Brazilians. Yes, they had this impression, and it was really surprising when I informed one Brazilian here that we had prisons in the UK. I don't know why that was a shock. I don't know who the prisons are full of. I didn't go into that. I'm not going to go into them statistics. I'm not, yeah. That's statistics, but it's a very, very, yeah. For many years there has been this idea about it. The trouble is, our politicians are not doing exactly a lot to dissuade people. Social media doing that. Suddenly, what happens? I mean, yeah, you and I live in Brazil. We can't understand why more people don't come here instead. When I'm watching, I've been having a bit of a joke with a friend of ours, a client of mine, and I mean, on YouTube sometimes there's a picture of, say, like the metro, the subway in Rio de Janeiro, which is, quite modern. And somebody said it's better than the subway in New York City. Somebody from there is travelling on it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Video evidence, and you could put it, you could say, okay, in fairness, the one in Rio is a lot more modern technology on it, and things like that. A lot of investment for a city that needed that kind of transport. In fact, it's not extensive enough in Rio. Like, we've got a problem with our metro here. Our metro is above ground here in Recife, because it's very difficult to build a metro in a swamp, underneath a swamp. Effectively, but yeah, we wish it was more extensive here. It doesn't go we've got two main lines here, and again, but yeah, that's just the way it's standard. We have this perception. Brazilians are shocked when I say, well, I found the transport in Recife acceptable. It gets me from where I need to go in quite an easy way. I can't hold, obviously we've got traffic problems here and things like this, but I'll get on the metro 10 minutes later or 20 minutes later on where I need to be. There are obviously other issues here, but it's it's a perception of where you are sometimes. I've known it where people have had good job here, they've moved to the UK and ended up working at McDonald's, probably for the same money.
Yep.
And in a worse accommodation. The shock was quite big for them. Yeah, and okay, Brazilians will go there and moan about the culture and everything, an answer to that as well. But it's with a perception. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't be looking. If you can go to a country, contribute to that country, it will contribute back to you. That's well and good. When we're talking about immigration, is a big issue today in the UK over having elections over it. Yeah, that is a problem. There's going to be landlords who are going to try and take advantage of you.
Oh, yeah.
Your entire, and I mean, my whole job is to sell languages for people for the betterment of themselves, learn another language so they can get better jobs and better life. Okay. But moving to a country and ending up in accommodation, as Steve has just been talking about, which I've seen a picture of.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told you this story. I've told you about taking the Indians to Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that one. But we went to visit some of the group's cousins.
Yeah.
Three girls sharing a room in Sao Paulo. They took it in turns to sleep on the bed at night, because there were three. There was two in the bed, one on the floor.
Yeah.
Rotate that. And they left the countryside of this state here to go down to Sao Paulo to work, and they were just living hand to mouth. And I said to them, I said, look, up in Pernambuco, where we are,
Mm,
uh, you you know how you lived,
mm,
and now you're coming down to São Paulo, working all the hours that God sends,
mm.
just just so that you can just so that you can line the pockets of a landlord,
Yeah,
because that's where all the money went, and also on travel to get
yeah,
to and from
yeah,
work. I said, you're no better off. I don't know why. I don't know why you aren't in Pernambuco with your family,
yeah.
you know. And sure enough, a couple of weeks later, they were returned.
Well,
I think I must have impacted on them and said, you're
well,
foolish trying to earn money just to give it to somebody else.
yeah. I mean, I've had clients and they've been looking to go to the UK. Generally work professional people,
Mm.
and it all looked good. The initial salary did, and I've been in this trap as well. Yeah, and then we started to do a complete cost breakdown. Obviously, the first thing was somewhere to live. Shock horror. You go on, yeah, there's a couple of websites you go on to get a feel of how much things are cost, and then we did a monthly grocery shopping list. Yeah, what type of even go to the cheaper supermarkets. Yeah, so well, don't go to this supermarket, go to this one, sort of thing. Yeah, in fairness, the supermarkets work. Certain items are more than others, and the balance works. Yeah, the food chain, as it were, it's a bit more of a con than we admit to. And yeah, so we did that with a couple of different supermarkets, did almost the same. So it came out roughly the same. Yeah. And you could just see their faces sort of going, yeah. Um, I said, but don't let that put you off. Okay, we'll look for cheaper accommodation. We almost ended down into the pages of loot, you
Yeah.
know, almost like your friend on the guy you've just spoken about. Yeah, I mean, okay, a single person might be able to suffer that for a while until they get themselves established and maybe hopefully do better. Yeah, I mean, you don't move there expecting Buckingham Palace. You're going to get lucky to get a single room bedsit. Even sharing, things. Sharing is horrible. It really is. But yeah. So so we did that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have taken the job. Okay, if they're prepared to do that, it depends what they're going there for. If it's long term, maybe not. If it's to gain experience working in another country, a fixed term, maybe that's worth doing, suffering for a while, as it were. That's up to the individual. And I said, it's your choice. I said, yeah, from experience point of view as an English teacher, I'm telling you, it's worth considering. But you've got to make that decision. Yeah.
I've always said that if you're going to go on one of these ventures, you get out of jail free card,
Mm.
which doesn't literally mean get out of jail. It just means you have a return ticket. So at
Yeah.
least if it all goes tits up, you can get on a plane and go back home.
Yeah, make sure your passport's up to date as well at that point. Yeah, yes. So I've known a couple of
That's
people
my
be caught with that one. Yeah, yeah.
that's my advice to punter.